The birth of a child is a blessing, a tiny bit of heaven to cradle in your arms and hold close to our hearts. In the face of our child, we see ourselves. We see love, we see promise. For our precious child, we pray for the blessings of love, wisdom, friendship, and, of course, good health. In March of 1993, Maria and Gilbert Hernandez were looking forward to the birth of their second child, and those were their prayers. The pregnancy had gone perfectly, and their plans to deliver at a local San Antonio hospital were all set. But when Maria felt those first pangs of labor, she felt an even stronger pang, that of a mother's intuition.
I said, no, we're going to go to University Hospital. I don't know, something just told me we're going to come to University Hospital.
And the next day, they welcomed their son, Gilbert Hernandez III.
We had him, he looked perfectly healthy, big old boy coming out. I mean, we held him and they gave him his pacifier and everything.
He was taken away to the nursery. A few hours later, that intuition was back.
It was like everybody had, they were bringing the baby so you could feed him. And I was like, okay, where's my baby,
She knew something was wrong, and the nurse confirmed her fear.
Well, the doctor's going to come and talk to you. Then that didn't sound,
Yeah, it was like an alarm right there, yeah.
It was Dr. John Calhoun, serving then as chief of pediatric surgery, who entered the room. They remember the words that no new parent is ever prepared to hear.
Well, he's having problems breathing. He said, we don't know if something to do with his lungs or with his heart.
Little Gilbert was in the neonatal intensive care unit.
He was like having problems breathing. His chest was like, it would lift up a lot, and then like when you cry, and then you're like
trying to gasp for that air.
For air.
Dr. Calhoun met them in the NICU with an update. It was his aortic valve. It hadn't developed. His plan was to move Gilbert's pulmonary valve to serve as his aortic valve and replace his pulmonary valve with a donor valve.
You always want to do an operation that gives the child a complete repair and takes advantage of both ventricles and all the valves.
In 1993, the pediatric heart program at University Hospital was just a few years old, and others on the team wanted to take a more cautious approach.
You could try a single ventricle repair. We weren't very good at that at the time.
And the chance of him dying was high. It also would have been just the beginning of many more risky operations for Gilbert down the road. In the end, the choice came down to trust.
What did he say, Gilbert?
He says, well, I'm going to give you an option. You can give him to me today and let me take care of him, or you can take him home and see how long he survives. He has a better chance with me.
And so by moving his lung valve over and having it be his aortic valve, that valve would grow, and we'd never have to go back and address the coronary arteries or that valve. We could go back and address the lung artery valve, which is a relative easy thing to address. But these are small kids, and these are big operations and tiny kids, and we're much better at it now. Our teams are more mature, our perfusionists, our anesthesiologists, our critical care support, and our cardiology support is night and day from what it was then.
Dr. Calhoun was confident that this was the best solution, but could make no guarantees. Back then, they had to wait for a donor valve. They had no idea how long it would take, or how long Gilbert could hold on without an operation.
He got sick. He had to be put on prostaglandin to keep him alive. He started to shut down his circulation as his ductus began to close after birth.
The answer to their prayer came the following day.
When he told us, he says that somebody's child had died in a car accident.
They found a valve. It was a 5-year-old child whose parents made the decision to donate organs and tissue, a gift that has never been forgotten.
I mean, I just wanted to thank that family, whoever it was, because those organs, they saved Gilbert's life. That organ saved Gilbert's life.
Dr. Calhoun organized the team and finalized the plan.
I really ran it over in my head a lot of times, knew just what I wanted to do. I'd done the operation a bunch in older people, never done it in a newborn, and frankly, nobody in the States had done it in a newborn, and to my knowledge, nobody in the world had done it in a newborn at the time we did this kid.
We had him blessed,
Yes.
baptized.
Then he was taken to the operating room.
But this little guy was in what we call suspended animation, or some call suspended animation, for almost an hour. And so he was cooled down to the 50s, 18 degrees centigrade. Circulation stopped for about 50 minutes, maybe 56 is kind of what I remember. And we did all the work, put everything back together, and kind of started everything back up, and things took off, and he didn't bleed any and didn't have any difficulty, didn't put in too many stitches.
Surgery went well. I can't make promises at this time. He's got a fighting chance. He's fighting.
The Hernandezes remembered Dr. Calhoun coming out to give them the news. They were surprised when they got to his room.
To us, it's like, wow, he looks like a I don't know, science fiction robot or something. Got wires coming out of everywhere.
It was scary.
When we see him come out of surgery, he's in and out of blue stages. Skin turning blue, then all of a sudden he's pink again. Then all of a sudden he's turning blue again. So it's a pain for us to be standing over our child. To me, he felt like he's dying again. Oh, okay, he's right here. Oh my God, he's dying again.
The blue was caused by spikes in pressure in the pulmonary artery.
It'll make you blue, and children will die from it. And I had a lot of kids die from it in my career. Our team has, and we have precautions to preclude it and to prevent it. In his case, we were fortunate that none of those episodes prevailed.
The doctors and the nurses would tell her, if you want to, you can help. Like bag him. You know, they call it a bagging when they put the apparatus on him, and you can bag him, help him breathe. He was breathing along, but they wanted to help him more. But to us, it was like, okay, son, we're gonna help you through this. We're right here with you, you know.
The blue stages lasted for a month, but they had faith he'd make it. He looked strong.
And we would give him
He
the pacifier.
never let that
go.
pacifier, even with that tube that he had, he always had that pacifier like right there next to it. And he never let it go. He never let it go. I'm not gonna tell you how long he kept it, but it was quite a while.
On Easter Sunday, Gilbert's 6-year-old sister Erica was finally allowed to come meet her brother.
I remember walking in and them carrying me to the bed, and I was looking at him and I was like, he's here. He's my brother.
Gilbert really woke up.
Of course, that's when he took a turn, you know, for the better. And my parents still tell me to this day, they're like, he was just waiting for you to get there. He wanted to meet you too.
He kept getting stronger and finally went home.
It was hard, but you know,
Hard 6 weeks.
it was hard, but it was a blessing.
He's been followed closely by the pediatric cardiology team, but Gilbert was able to grow up without any major restrictions.
I didn't want him to think that, well, I can only do so much. I always wanted him to grow up normal and just do your own thing.
They wouldn't treat me any different. They wouldn't tell me, don't go outside, you can't play basketball, you can't play football.
His only reminder was the long scar down his chest.
I saw myself as one of a kind, not to sound big-headed or nothing, but I was one of a kind, and I knew this reminder would always be there for a lifetime.
At the same time, he's uncomfortable sharing his story.
There's people out there with cancer, there's soldiers out there in the war. There's so much bigger things than my heart defect, you know? That's how I look at it.
Growing up, his parents would show him the stories about his groundbreaking operation. The impact of what could have happened is not lost on him.
Like, I almost wasn't here, you know? I could have been a statistic.
He also thinks about the family of that 5-year-old child.
They could have had their son. He could have been grown up by now. None of this would have never happened.
But it did. And it's been quite a journey for Gilbert, his family, and the team of doctors and nurses they've counted on for 22 years.
It was funny to me how I just grew up literally with them.
Dr. Patrick Glassow, a UT Medicine pediatric cardiologist, is still Gilbert's doctor. You really do need to have a sense of humor if you're a 22-year-old seeing a doctor for kids.
Pediatric room with the pediatric bed, so my legs are literally touching the ground. I'm there looking at other kids in the room. The kids look up to me like, okay, this is a giant 5-year-old.
He also enjoys when Dr. Glassow doesn't tell medical students what to expect before sending them in to listen to his heart. Through the stethoscope, his heart sounds like a freight train.
Give me that look like, okay, this kid's not doing right. It's not healthy or something. They would give me that strange look, and they would look at my parents like, they would back off me and would say, give me a minute, let me talk to Dr. Glassow real quick.
On April 8th, 2011, he had the chance to finally thank Dr. Calhoun in person. They hadn't seen each other since Gilbert was a baby. His mom set up the meeting.
As soon as he walked in, his tears started to come. He started crying, and he's probably the only person that can make me cry like a little girl. Told me the history behind my surgery and how everything was that day and how he took a chance.
Ironically, the meeting was just months before he found out that he would need a second operation. They knew at some point he'd outgrow the pulmonary valve.
So every year that he got older, we kept thinking, it's gotta be this year.
In fact, no one expected it to last 18 years.
He didn't reject it. Dr. Glassow made the right decisions to hold off as long as he could, and he was lucky. He just did fine.
It was replaced in September of 2011, and it was clear that choosing that groundbreaking surgery 18 years earlier had paid off in a big way for Gilbert.
But as a result of having the aorta perfect and it growing and working beautifully, this operation was a relative, straightforward walk in the park.
And he was up on his feet quickly. Today, Gilbert is in college hoping one day to be on TV or radio.
I've always loved broadcasting, sports specifically.
He knows so much about sports. I don't even know if ESPN even knows that much.
The Hernandez family is whole.
And it's been a blessing that Dr. Calhoun was there for us and that he decided to take that risk. And he's our hero.
You know, you hear that from people and it makes the bad days better. It really does.
This experience inspired Erica to pursue a career in healthcare. She's an operating room secretary at University Hospital today and will finish nursing school in 2016.
It touches me every day, every time I see they're helping another family. I can't really thank them enough for what they have done for my family, especially for my little brother.
It's unexplainable. I'm blessed. I'm just lucky, really. That's all I can say. I'm lucky.
What makes you happiest as a surgeon is to think that you're putting a kid back into the arms of a family that's going to turn him into a good young man, and that's what they've done.
He's his miracle baby.
And he's our miracle too.